Hello and welcome back to Talkin Pitchside. I'm your host PJ with my co-host Tony, as always, here with a fun episode. I'm excited for this one. We've been waiting for it. World Cup is coming up, and we've got our last camp before the World Cup here. I know they're doing the little preseason tour right before the World Cup, but that will be the actual roster. So this is the last point to prove it for these guys, last chance for some of these guys to make an impact, and we've got the roster. We previewed it last episode. We were excited for it. It came out right after we recorded, the day after. So we've been able to sit on this now for a couple days, get our reactions, digest it a little bit. We've even gotten to listen to Pochettino with some quotes here now about the roster and why some decisions were made, which is very interesting. So we'll get into that. Tony, though, before we get into are you excited? Like, is this like, for me, this is like, I can feel the energy building for the World Cup now. People are giving some really hot takes and they're getting ready for it, especially with these last competitions between some other countries that are still trying to qualify. So that will be coming up next weekend as well.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting to watch. But I think what actually got me pretty excited was the jersey drop. I don't know if you were planning on going there.
Yes.
Dripping or tripping? What do you think?
We're dripping.
Like
I think
I agree.
I think they went out of left field a little bit. Went really risky. I saw that it's the first primary kit for us that wasn't just all white in 20 years. Like, this is the first time they've like gone out of like the regular white kit box for their primary kit since like I think 2004 2006, something around there. So I appreciate it. I think if you're your home country, you've got to go fun with it, and I think that's what they're going for.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's a good look. I hear the Where's Waldo shouts on that. I mean, but I think it's still whatever. It's still cool, and the dark jersey
nice.
too. Yes,
where you get really a little closer and the stars show up. I think it's cool.
Yeah. It's cool. My budget, it's not really there for me, but maybe the discount we get after the World Cup, maybe checking that out for sure.
I will fold immediately. I mean, I'm gonna get one, but for this World Cup, I will definitely get one.
But they're nice, they're exciting. Are we wearing them for these friendlies?
I'd assume so. You'd gotta imagine. I saw a quote that Tyler Adams did say that after the last World Cup kits, not everyone was a big fan of. Tyler and a lot of the players went to the team and said, we want to be involved in the making of these next kits. So they had like a say in what these were looking like. So I do appreciate that. They were like, hey, if I'm going to be in front of my home country, I got to be I got to be repping. So no, that's
how that works. Yeah. It's like, what if they walked in and said, I want control of this, and then just throw up a sketch of like the most god awful jersey you've ever seen. He's like, this is what I want to wear. And they're like, hey,
Yeah. To kind of transition us here, something that Pochettino did say in his press conference today was about the kit itself and the kit reveal. Is you saw a lot of American currently players playing in America in that kit drop video. And I think that's mostly because they didn't want to have to fly people out in from other countries or fly to other countries to get some of our best players to be in this kit reveal. And he said he let everyone know, just because you're in this kit video doesn't mean your spot for the roster is like set in stone. And I think that's a good transition point here, because one of the guys I think he is directly referencing that is not on this roster, and we'll go through it in a second, is Diego Luna. So we'll get into that. I think that's he had some interesting quotes today that I think are going to play a huge factor in Diego Luna's presence on this roster, which is probably the most shocking thing for me. But let's go to it. We'll go easy part first, and then we'll get into some hard ones here. Goalkeepers, I don't think I have any gripes about any of this. It's Matt Turner, Matt Freese, Roman Celentano, and Chris Brady. I'm not shocked by any of these. I mean, Chris Brady and Roman have been in the past couple of camps, so I'm not shocked by them being these guys in the third and fourth right now. Matt Freese, of course, is the number one. Like, he is going to be the goalkeeper starting in the World Cup. I don't think there's anything he could do wrong or right in this one to change that. And I think Matt Turner could play about as well as he could in this, and I don't think he's going to start over Matt Freese at this point. I think Freese is just Pochettino's guy. So I don't think anyone in the world is really arguing the goalkeeper selection right now. Maybe Patrick Schulte has a little gripe somewhere. Zach Steffen, of course, isn't healthy, so who knows if that is playing a factor, or if he's even going to get on this roster at this point anyways. But I think goalkeepers are about right where everyone expected.
Yeah, I think that really the only thing up in the air is who's going to be the number 3 that we take to the World Cup,
Mm-hmm.
which not a bad spot to be in. I think that in years past, I feel like I felt more confident about our goalkeeper group than
Mm-hmm.
in this group. I think Matt Freese, for the national team has been fine. I think Matt Turner has also been fine. It just doesn't feel like, unlike some of these other guys that we get called up, we're not really catching a goalkeeper kind of in stride, where they're getting hot at the right time, which is just, I guess, what it is. But yeah, no, I think that's the consensus across the board is Freeze 1, Turner 2, and then number 3 is, up for debate. I'm sure Patrick Schulte would love to point out that Roman Celentano just let 6 goals in. But he's
I
getting
feel
the
bad
call
for
up. But
Roman too because we've talked about it. Statistically, he's having a great year
yes,
actually.
he's looked really good so far.
And that game was not on him at all, and you feel for
Yeah.
him because it probably just plummeted his stats just from what he was doing the first couple games of the year. So you feel for him in that. But I do think I think club play has mattered in the past couple years for Pochettino and his selections. I would argue in this camp it has not mattered that based on how he chose this camp. Where I think he's taken to the point where he's gone, I know who my guys are, and I don't know if the latest club play has probably affected some of his decision making. I point to Matt Freese being number one. I think he's been his guy in every camp, so I just don't think Matt Freese could have done anything in club play that would have altered that. And then I also point to a guy like Gio Reyna, who we're going to talk about eventually, that the dude doesn't even play for his club, and he's not very good for his club when he does play. So I
Yeah.
think those things make you scratch your head a little bit because I think you want to say doesn't matter, but with these guys, not necessarily, especially Gio Reyna. So we'll get into that when we get to the midfielders. But defenders first. We got Austin Trusty from Celtic, so good for Austin. Glad to see that he's getting a chance here. Joe Scally from Gladbach. We have Miles Robinson, of course, from FC Cincinnati. Excuse me. And then we have Anthony Robinson from Fulham. Great to see him back in the camp. We love to see that. He's healthy. He's been playing. Chris Richards, of course, is in there. Tim Ream is in there. Mark McKenzie, Alex Freeman, and Max Arston. Honestly, I look at this. I don't really. I mean, Serginho Dest is in there if he's healthy. Serginho Dest is hurt right now, so that's a big one. Besides that, Tony, I don't really have any gripes with this. Like, I think this is about exactly what I expected, and I think that says more about our defending situation as a whole right now.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there was the storyline. Who is the dual national kid? What's his name?
Noah Kai Banks.
Noah Kai Banks. That everyone wanted him to be in here. Honestly, I don't even like. I said this to you personally. I can't even think about him right now. Like in the point of, he's not. I don't think he would have played at all, regardless, for us in the World Cup. So I just don't even want to worry about that right now. I'd love to have him play for the U.S., but he's not going to factor in this World Cup, and that's really what I'm worried about for this camp. So I'm kind of we'll save that for a different day. But regardless, besides that, I think you'd probably have Serginho Dest come in for, I mean, Austin Trusty or Joe Scally maybe in this situation.
Yeah.
From this list, and I wouldn't have any gripes with either of those. So I think this is about what I expected, and I think the right center back spot is really what everyone's going to be watching here in this camp to see who kind of takes control of that. If we run that 5-back, that's what everyone's assuming based on the last couple camps, and probably against this competition that we're playing as well. 2 pretty solid squads we're going against, so I can't imagine we wouldn't be in that 5-back.
Yeah, I agree. I think to your point too, just generally this whole roster has been kind of like, hey, this is what we'd expect for the World Cup, which I mean is not different from what we've been anticipating. And there's really the only changes we would make are making people healthy magically to get back in here, like Des, like you mentioned. But yeah, in general, I think this was a very agreeable group. And when we talk about this defense, I think that like we're looking at McKenzie, Richards, and probably Tim Ream starting as those center backs, and then you bring on Miles. It just feels a little shallow. I would have thought that maybe
Miles
instead of
advanced, by the way, and
I also, based on this,
and I also think I mean, not even just a chance to make the roster. I'm saying just start during this window. I think he might get a start or two in
Oh
this
yeah,
window.
second game if they rotate a little. Yeah.
And I also would be interested to see how they're going to use Alex Freeman because they've used Alex Freeman in
Yes.
that right center back spot. So it is him, McKenzie, and Miles Robinson are going to be fighting for that spot, in my opinion. Now in this camp, you might see Freeman at that right wing back spot just
Mm-hmm.
because of the injury to Dest. So I think in this camp it's going to be McKenzie or Robinson taking that spot, and it will be interesting. I'm really excited to see this competition because it's a weird like I couldn't imagine playing in this where
Yeah.
you're fighting as a group. Like you are like I want us to win. Like I want USA to win this friendly, get ready for the World Cup. Like this is a ramp up period. But for those kind of guys that are on that edge of like either starting or the roster, you're kind of also fighting against the guys that are right next to you, and it's a really weird dynamic because I think you have to be level minded to tell yourself you don't have to force it because I think there a lot of tendency for these guys can be like, I need to make a play, I need to stand out in some way, and that's where you can actually hurt yourself the most. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these guys deal with that pressure a little bit. But I think what I'm really gonna be looking at, honestly, out of any of the position groups, number one, when I pull up that roster for the first friendly, I think it's against Belgium is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Who is starting a right center back? Because I think that
Yeah.
is the biggest question mark as of right now on this roster.
I agree. And to your point, just about like the team dynamic, I mean, that's a common thing in all sports, right? But I think that's specifically one of Pochettino's missions when he came into this was that it was too casual and people were feeling kind of too safe with where they're at. And I think vice versa, like that if you walk into a locker room like that where it's like, oh, this is all political, the starting 11's already chalk, like there's no chance I'm breaking in, then what incentive do I have to try either?
Yeah.
Um, so then when Pochettino comes in and kind of breaks down those walls, makes those comments like, hey, just because you're wearing a jersey doesn't mean you're on the team. And, he made a couple other things like that, like, hey, this is not final, by the way. Like he said a lot of that stuff. And I think all of that is constantly just kind of resetting this culture to make it so that everybody's fighting and clawing in a way that I think also that he shows like what he values is playing for the team and playing for your club. So it is this interesting kind of double-sided sword here where like, yeah, you got to, work your buns off to earn the spot. But part of working like really hard is like working really hard for the team. So it like supports itself while it supports the individual. And it's this very just interesting thing that I think that, I mean, especially when we were looking really bad in the mud, like, I don't know, a year ago or so, like we were all kind of holding our pitchforks and torches and saying, what are we doing, Pochettino? But it was a process, right? And it's kind of gotten us to this point here where we're saying, okay, like now we see the like kind of more of the product of that. We've seen some results come our way in friendlies. And we've seen like a very interesting competition develop that I think is only going to be healthy for the U.S. as a whole, as far as who's going to be that right center back spot, who's going to be that right back spot if Dest is not good to go. We didn't also mention that could really easily be Tim Weah as well. He's listed as a forward, but that right wing back.
I know a lot of people keep saying that, but they keep listing him as a freaking forward. So I
Well,
don't
yeah,
really
but just
know.
what does it
I
mean?
know, I
You
know,
just
I
list him
know.
as a forward, yeah.
It's interesting though. I don't know. He's never really been used as that spot for Pochettino specifically, honestly. Like I think everyone's kind of naturally said that because he's played it in club level,
Mm-hmm.
and he really hasn't been used in that way by Pochettino, and honestly hasn't also been at all these camps as of late. So
Yeah.
that's also that could be the case for a lot of these guys. Like a lot of these guys haven't been in all these camps, so that's where the question marks also come in: is who's he going to go to in that game one that we're going to be like, whoa, that's interesting. And I think this is a good transition point to that midfield because there's a couple guys missing from this midfield that you would scratch your head a little bit. There's been some explanations why. Main one, Tyler Adams, of course, is not
Mm-hmm.
at this camp. I think that's more of a precaution thing right now
Yeah.
for him in Bournemouth, is what has been said. So I get it. I just it stinks because none of this is I don't think there's any more reasoning, and he said Pochettino said this in his interview today. No one was just selected because they want another look. Like that, and what I mean by that is like the guys who have been invited to this camp have earned this final spot in this final camp. It's not like, oh, we haven't taken a look at this guy yet. So, and I think they want these guys to play together, which that's why it stinks to not have Tyler Adams in this, because I think you would love
Yeah.
to have at least one game with like the real roster going at it together. And I think we're just gonna have to wait till that preseason tour to really get a look at that. So that'll be interesting. But Sebastian Berhalter, first on the list here, that was a given. The way he's played at club level too, he's just continued that form, which is great for him. Johnny Cardoso, which I love to see in there. I think he is a guy who could easily get a look here with Tyler Adams out of this camp as well to get some reps here. Weston McKennie, no brainer, has been arguably the best player in the U.S. Sphere over the last 6 months. We have Gio Reyna, which we prefaced before is a big, okay, here we go type of move, because he does not play for his club, does not play well for his club, but damn, does this kid show up for the U.S. men's national team. And there's drama around it. There's all this hoopla, but when it comes down to the play on the field, he looks good for the U.S. men's national team. So I'm happy. I think we're both happy he's there to see what he can do for this team. Christian Roldan, Seattle Sounders. I'm not shocked by this at all. People are going to sit there and be like, why is Roldan getting reps? Pochettino has made it clear that this is like his guy. If he's going to like lift someone up, like, this is how I want you to operate and play, Christian Roldan has been that guy. I also think from a veteran standpoint, he's like the only veteran that is going to be on this roster that has been there as long as he has. I mean, I guess Tim Ream as well. Him and Tim Ream
up there. Yeah.
Are like the two guys. And Christian Roldan has really been spoken about a lot about from Pochettino in press conferences, in terms of he's been like a tone setter in their practice sessions and film sessions, and has been the guy that has pushed the physicality, I think, back into the style of play for this team, which we were clamoring for. Like you said, a year ago, we needed something, and they switched to this 5-back, and it's become a lot more physical, a lot more demanding. So we love that. Tanner Tessman has totally deserved the spot. He's played well for the U.S. men's national team as of late. And then Malik Tillman is healthy and back, which I love to see, because I think this guy is fully capable of being a starter on our 11, and has continued his great form in the Champions League for Leverkusen in their play, and before they got absolutely throttled by, was that Arsenal that they played?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a given at that point. But before that, yeah, he looked great. So it's good to see him. So, did I skip over Aiden Morris? I think I skipped over Aiden Morris.
Yeah,
Aiden
Morris. He did.
He's the guy, I think, that in my mind, I look at this list and I'm like, he's probably the guy that's getting cut for Tyler Adams, if Tyler Adams is available. Just from this list would be my natural tendency to say right now. Just because they play the same position, they play the same role, and I'm happy for him. I hope he's able to get some minutes here. I just think he'll probably be the casualty when it comes down to it, when they make the World Cup roster.
Yeah, I think that the big Pandora's box here is with Reyna, and the talent versus like earning your spot kind of debate, right? That's the big thing, because I mean, we can all agree that the way that Pochettino, I think, talks in his pressers, Gio has not earned a spot. And like that doesn't discredit like what he's done for country, like when he gets pulled up, and like the last international window we called him up and he looked fantastic out of nowhere, and it opened a lot of eyes that like, oh, okay, this is still a viable option. But then you got guys like and I'm not, this is where you open it up, but like, there's no Adams injury. Yunus Musa is a cut that I think was probably next on this list as well. But obviously has not really played that well for club,
We've said it. I honestly, maybe I'm being brutal by not bringing up his name in this conversation. I mean, we've talked about it. I just don't even think he's in consideration. Like, I don't even think there's a way he gets back on this roster for the World Cup.
I mean, the way is if injuries happen, but Aiden Morris, I think at times, like, I agree with you. He's probably the next off this list for me. But I mean, like, for the national team in friendlies, he's kind of had those chasing butterflies moments where it just looks like he's just not quite
it's a tough position to gauge too. Like, I do feel for him in that way. Like, I mean, Tyler Adams, like, we know what he does for this team. Like, he is just like the Energizer Bunny in the middle of that field. And I think it is easy to get lost in the mix when you were just watching a game. Like, how much of impact this guy have? CDM is a tough role to
Oh,
really
for
feel
sure.
that out if
Yeah.
you're not like a top player like Tyler Adams. I think that's kind of what we felt about Johnny Cardoso at times when we've watched him play for the U.S. men's national team. It's like you haven't really given much. So, but and then he's playing massive minutes for Madrid in the Champions League and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this guy has to get an opportunity. So I do think you're right. I think Morris has kind of gotten lost in the shuffle a little bit and hasn't had like a moment to be like, this guy totally deserves to be there. And I think you could say with the rest of these guys, at least at club level, maybe not always with the national team, that this guy deserves a spot on the roster, and that's where he's going to be behind the eight ball a little bit here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a tough spot to be in.
Quick quote, by the way.
Yes, good.
This was Pochettino on Gio Reyna. He said this is a quote about him because he got pressed about his club play and how he's not playing. He said, Gio Reyna is a very special talent and a very special player. Even if he's not playing too much for his club, he can be very useful for us. I'm excited for what he can be for this national team. Like, that to me is like Gio Reyna's making the World Cup team when I hear a quote like that. And I think he's just, and we said this, like we all feel this, we've watched with our own eyes. We all know the talent that Gio Reyna is. We're like, when the guy has the ball at his feet, he can do crazy things. It's the consistency of that. It is the consistency in club play, even playing for his club at any point that concerns you. And the injuries, of course, have just been a detriment to him. And honestly, it's probably been his longest run of health ever in his career.
Yeah.
I mean, when you really think about it, like, he's now played for a full year without a real injury. And I don't remember the last time he could say that about Gio Reyna. I felt like he would come back for Dortmund and then play 2 games and then get hurt for Dortmund, and then you just wouldn't hear from him for 6 months. So I think it's the right move. I think you at least bring him on the roster just as like a deployed weapon off the bench at minimum, because what he can bring in the final minutes of a game from a creativity, a crossing standpoint, creating chances when you need a goal. I just don't think there's another guy that you could replace him with that could do the same type of thing.
Right. And Malik Tillman is a great 10, but just doesn't have that same creativity or kind of like on the ball, just ability the way Gio Reyna does. I mean, yes, and no.
I understand. Like Gio Reyna has some moments you're like, no one else in this team can do this. Like, that's what you say to yourself when you watch it. I like the player of Malik Tillman 10 times better than Gio Reyna currently, just because of his consistency and what he's
I was going to say he's dependable for sure.
Yeah.
You can count on him for that. But the other thing I'm thinking about just with this Gio Reyna stuff is, and kind of spinning it back to the locker room aspect of it is, what that looks like inside. Obviously last World Cup, that was really rocky from all the stories that we hear from that. And like, I listened to an interview recently with Brian McBride, who used to be the GM of U.S. men's national team. And, he made a comment about like, the rosters that they give you for these tournaments are huge. And like, the reality is that you're just not going to use all these players. Like, using all these players in a span of like, 8 games max, that's a lot if you're ever able to do that. So these last few roster spots that you use, like, to make them useful, they've got to be character guys. They've got to be, like raise the level guys. Even if they don't touch a second of the field, they've got to make this group better. And so,
Christian Roldan, by the way.
Yeah, correct. Though, I could see him coming in like kind of late as well.
I think he's above that spot on the roster, though. Like, I really do. Yeah. Like, I just don't think he's like at this point a final cut guy. Like, I think Pochettino sees him as like a weapon, and he's
well. That's what I'm saying. I think he can come in late. Like, yeah. I think that
I agree.
Like, you can trust him with his guts to, like, in a tied game with 10 minutes left, nerves are not going to get the better of him. He's going to put in like consistent contribution there.
But I also think from the storyline perspective, the drama and everything from the last World Cup and how that plays a factor. And I think enough time has passed, along with change of coach, and not only change of coach, but a change of coach in Pochettino that's like no bullshit. Like, he's just kind of like puts it out there. He's like, I'm not hiding anything. I'm going to tell you how it is.
Right.
And I think that helps to a degree. Like I think he's a hard ass, and he's just if Gio Reyna wants to create drama, he's just not going to play, and he's just not going to be part of the camp. So I think if he felt like that was around, he wouldn't bring him.
And I hope
And
that's that's true.
I just don't really think he would. Like I think he has shown that with some of his other selections that he's like a Christian Roldan. Like he values that type of player. So will be interesting. And I think when I think about this midfield, because we'll have a five back. We'll have how many midfielders do we have starting this?
3, I would think.
3, but is Malik Tillman like in a midfielder role technically?
Yeah, well, he'd be like you're gonna play like 2 holding mids and then like a cam. Yeah,
yeah.
You're gonna be
2 cams and a striker, and right. And
you're gonna do. No, you're gonna. Well, you could do it that way, but I was thinking
they've done that. So I know
you could do it either way. So you either do two attacking minded mids and 1 defensive, or vice versa. And then you put your 2 forwards above them. So
will be interesting. I guess we'll transition to the forward group here and talk about them. Biggest missing person here is Haji Wright, who has a groin issue, and I can't imagine he's in a great mental spot right now, having to deal with that and not being part of this camp. Because I don't know. I just look at these forwards. I'm like, Brendan Aronson deserved. He's played really well for Leeds. Patrick Agyemang and now Ricardo Pepi are getting these shots, another shot at this camp to impress, that Haji Wright doesn't get that opportunity to. And I think this could really hurt his chances to make the roster. And I feel bad for him. And I'm impressed with how fast Ricardo Pepi recovered, honestly, and got back in the field and is scoring goals again for PSV immediately. Patrick Agyemang has continued to ball out for Derby. Like, he continues to score goals. Haji Wright is doing the same for Coventry. But when we're looking at the last U.S. men's national team camp here, like, you want to be a part of that. You don't want to be just hoping that you have enough goodwill already. So Balogun's in there. He's going to be, of course, the leading striker. He's going to be starting for the team. I don't think there's any question about that. He's performed really well for Monaco in the Champions League this year, too. He has scored a ridiculous rate of goals. And then Christian Pulisic and Tim Weah are up there. We talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any gripes with this if Haji Wright is truly injured. I don't even know if I have gripes if Haji Wright's healthy. I think you can make the argument for these guys over Haji Wright, and we've had the conversation plenty in our podcast already, just talking about Agyemang and Haji Wright. Who would you pick? Why? I've leaned towards Haji Wright just because of the size and the weapon that can be laid in a game. Now, he hasn't always proven to actually use that size in the way that I would like him to be deployed.
Talk about Agyemang's size, like that's.
And Agyemang's big, and Agyemang has gained a lot more ground with Pochettino in my mind over these past 2 years. And Agyemang was like that guy in those camps that started turning things. Like, he was the guy that was playing at the striker position. And I think we all were like, why is Agyemang starting at striker? And I'll be one of the people, I'll go hand up. I was an Agyemang hater when he was at Charlotte. Like, why is this guy getting the reps? And I don't think you could say otherwise either. You were shocked, and then now he's gone on Derby, and he's lighting the world on fire. And I've got to give Pochettino credit, because clearly he saw something that I was not able to see at the time and say, like, this guy can be a dude. So I think right now, Agyemang's probably the number 2. Because I don't think Ricardo Pepi we've talked about his last camp experiences, like he was not getting subbed in, and they were subbing in Balogun instead of him after Balogun had started the previous game. And I think that's going to hurt Pepi to kind of make up some ground here. But now with Haji Wright out, he's going to get a chance. Like, this is another chance for him to prove for the national team. Has proven in the past, so has that, but it's never been with Pochettino. And Pochettino's picking guys that have proven it to him. So I think Agyemang probably has a better relationship in my mind with Pochettino at this point in terms of a trust level there. So will be interesting, but that's also, like, we're talking about the number 2 striker. Like, that's a good problem. I mean, when have we ever just been like fully confident we have a striker and we're like, this is our striker? Like, we've never had that in past World Cups since the Clint Dempsey days, since Landon Donovan and these guys, where it's been like, I now just know Balogun's the guy. We're gonna live and die by that. to a degree. Like he can be up and down, but talent wise and the way he can produce, like Balogun's going to be the striker for the U.S. men's national team. Christian Pulisic is going to be in there as either like an attacking mid, a winger, and that third attacker. Like I said, it's going to depend how we structure our team. I I think Malik Tillman could honestly be the guy that's playing that
Yeah.
third attacker role if we play with two cams, which in my mind is Pulisic and Tillman, or a Gio Reyna or someone like that. I I just think they're going to lean that way, in my opinion, to play in that makeup, just because I think our midfield depth and our midfield talent is higher than our forward talent. And you just look at that, like even if you want to play Weston McKennie in one of those, like I'm fine. He's been doing that for Juventus all
Right.
year. Like I'm
Yeah.
fine with that too. So I think you can get away with that, especially when Tyler Adams is healthy, and you now have guys like Tanner Tessman and Johnny Cardoso and Sebastian Berhalter, who you're like, I trust those guys. Like they can play back behind those guys, and I feel good about it. So I don't know if I can say the same about the forward depth right now. Like I don't know if I can be like, I fully trust Brennan Aronson in the World Cup. Like he's been slowed down for a little for Leeds, but looked great at one point. He's been awesome, but like, do I want Brennan Aronson being one of my three attackers on the field? I don't know if I do for 60 to 70 minutes. Like I love him I love him as an energizer bunny, like 20, 30 minutes end the game. He's going to be pressing. He's going to do these things. I just feel better about the midfield depth and talent that we have on this roster than I do about the attacking talent. So I personally would lean that way, but we'll see how they lay it out.
Yeah, I think a lot to comment on there. I do think that your point about just kind of our midfield versatility is definitely the thing we have to lean into with not just these friendlies, but in the World Cup in general. Because to make an example out of Weston McKennie, obviously we're not going to start him at right wing back, but let's say an injury or a red card happens the game before, couple subs in, and what we got available on the bench. Well, you could trust Weston to play there, or you could trust him to move up top. I agree that that's just something that like we'll be able to lean into that versatility there, but we're not asking our forwards to be as much as our midfielders to begin with anyways. I mean, honestly, what we're asking of our forwards is frankly just finish. Like that's what we're asking in Balogun is hold up play and finish. Like this is a system that it's not like, we need them to facilitate attack or be creative. I mean, maybe a little bit
score and counter-attacking opportunities.
Correct.
And finish crosses in the box. That's what I'm asking you to do.
Yes. The exception to that is Pulisic, but we're going to see him operate, I think, a little bit deeper, a little bit more centrally. That's
why I think they're going to run that 2 cam, because I'm like, that's where I want him. Like I want him to be a creator, and I think what him and like Tillman or him and Gio Reyna can do in a connection standpoint, I think is going to help Balogun stay up top and not have to drop so deep, and they can leave that to him. So continue. Yeah. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
Good. No, you're good. So yeah, and I think then the question is obviously, so if we're talking Balogun starting, Pulisic is on the field, these arguments about the next striker, if it's Haji Wright, if it's Ajman, Aronson, whoever, I think just becomes completely situational. You know what I mean? Because if this is a game we're chasing, like I think that's the argument for Aronson. If we need a goal and we need to be pressing, we're struggling to possess the ball, the team's kind of passing around the back, that's where you bring in Aronson. This is a game where we're, looking at, holding a lead, then maybe you call in Ajman because, he can help with the hold-up play. Yep. You can throw in that stray cross when possession's kind of dying, and maybe he can do something dangerous with that.
Help on corners, things like that.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, when you're starting to paint the picture like that, it sucks, but it's like it's hard to find where Pepe fits in that picture. It's hard to find where Haji Wright fits into that picture. And, one of those two will be on this roster, but just how much time they see and what their contribution looks like, I think is pretty tough unless, we see a different like sub pattern for Pepe in these two friendlies. Like that's kind of where I lend to think that he just doesn't really have a role within what we've got set up.
Yeah. I mean, you want these guys to be fit and ready because you never know when an injury can happen. You never know when. I mean, we've seen everything under the sun happen with our striker position at times. So it's nice to have, in my opinion, just like a luxury of backups at this point that we've never really had. Haven't always had that. So to have a guy who's bagging goals in the Champions League and for PSV and now going to Fulham, that transfer came out of nowhere. By the way, it's not happening until the summer window.
Yeah,
but it's confirmed he's going to Fulham. Like, he's a Premier League striker. Like that is what he is. And the fact that we're talking about him being maybe our third striker, like, that's where I feel like you're seeing the growth in this roster. And like, these things are cool, and still such a young roster. Like, we're putting all this pressure on him. It's the home World Cup, so you want to see him deliver. This roster's still so young, where you're going to see a lot of these guys in the next World Cup. Like, that's how it's going to be. The next 2 World Cups, you could see some of these guys. So you love to see the growth with some of these guys. Like, I mean, just to think about Ricardo Pepi bagging goals for blanking right now, FC Dallas back in the day, and you have the Pepi train, that whole thing going on.
Yeah.
To think that guy's playing the Premier League next season is crazy.
It's nuts.
So, shout out him. I mean, it's exciting. I'm really excited. We've got the 2 matchups against Belgium and Portugal, 2 legit World Cup teams that have pressure, that have expectations. And I think that's where I'm like, I wish we had Tyler Adams, because I'd love to see our real roster against these guys, because I think they're going to be playing real rosters too. So I think you're going to see some legit matchups here, and you'd love to see us be competitive. I think we all need to make sure that, like, if we lose, it's not the end of the world. Like, we need to take a deep breath here and know that this is still friendlies. And I mean, I'm going to get Mike pissed off with you. So I'm just saying this to myself, really. But exciting stuff. Well, we're going to talk about it more next week. Will definitely be all U.S. talk, in my opinion, for the most part, because we're not going to have MLS games that weekend to preview. So we'll preview the games. I'm sure we'll get more news about this roster. Some of the quotes I did want to touch on before we go was the video roster, the video roster talk, which was, he was like, if you're in the video, doesn't mean you make the roster. I mentioned Diego Luna. He is not on the roster. And I think this is a guy that they've Pochettino's even put up there as like, this is how I want you to play. Like, he played with a broken nose. He played through all these things, and he's his guy. And he came back last week for RSL, played last week. And I think when you didn't see him in the roster, a lot of people were like, oh, okay, this is because he's just coming off injury. Like, that's the issue. I mean, Pochettino was clear as day today in his quote and said, like, this was not an injury-related decision. And he said he's not been super impressed by some of his club play lately, which I think was weird, because I'm like, he only played 1 game, and
not even a full game. He didn't start.
So there's got to be something else there. I don't know if he just like misquoted or said something, but I mean, I could pull up the quote. It was something. Let me see here. It was really. I was scratching my head because I just assumed it was because he just came back. But the quote,
you would think
was really weird.
You would think that that's not almost like, I don't know. Now I'm just totally making something up, but like English second language type thing, where it's just like,
okay,
it's not. Yeah,
I was wrong. It's not about his club play. Sorry, I misquoted that.
I was gonna say,
he said he struggled a little bit in the formation that we have. So, in my opinion, by the way, that also reconfirms that we're playing the 5-back. Like, that is just that is what we're rolling with. He struggled a little bit in position to get the form. So I think it's more of a fit issue with how now we're playing, because when he was playing well, it was not while we were playing a 5-back in the U.S. Men's national team roster. So it's crazy to think the way that they've like promoted him and made him this like advertising figure, and if he doesn't make the camp, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, he's got to be super frustrated right now. I mean, he's been a part of almost every camp, and now the biggest one he's not a part of. We talked about it a little bit in an older podcast about he could possibly be one of those last guys, and I think today, Tony, I'm sitting here and I don't think he's going to make this roster. And I feel for him, and I think it's tough, and I think the formation, like Pochettino said, probably doesn't help, but it is it's just got to be frustrating. I'm sure he wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, the trick here too was Luna in this formation, he was one of the 2 cams, and I think that is important to note that when you look at who's going to be in those spots between probably Pulisic, Reyna, Tillman, how many of those guys do you
Brennan
need?
Aronson,
Brennan Aronson, even, yeah. But at the same time, I didn't think he was bad. I mean, he started in that game in the throttling against Uruguay. He scored in that game. I mean, sure, that's a moment, a singular moment out of the hour that he played there. But I'm a little bit, I guess, trust the process on, but don't have my mind wrapped around.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, I never saw Diego Luna making a huge impact on the games themselves for the U.S. Men's National Team in the World Cup. And maybe there was a time we were like, hey, could this guy actually play actual minutes? And I think that dwindled a little bit in the past couple camps, and we saw that visually. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy to think how far he may drop off this roster. It's got to be frustrating. So that was my last note. I don't have much more. I think we'll talk more as this week goes on, more news, and talk about these matchups specifically, see what games are going on. We'll talk about the other national team games that are going on for qualifications for the World Cup, because you've got some great games out there.
Really
go
tasty.
Ireland. Come on the Irish. I want to see them go off. That'd be a lot of fun. So we'll make sure to preview that coming up. Okay, for MLS talk now, let's transition here. We're going to do quick hitters. I think we're just going to do quick hitter predictions for every game, honestly, because we're running a little long here. We've already done 40 minutes of U.S. Men's National Team talk. This is how much I'm so excited for the World Cup, because I could talk my head off for this. Before we get into that, though, I do want to touch really quick on CONCACAF. Happened in the midweek this week. Pretty significant games. There are some games going on right now. FC Cincinnati, our team is playing. I think they literally just started this minute. So, please God. But the other games that happened, we had. Let's go into. I think it was Tuesday. We had the first games. LAFC survived in a very scrappy game. Sun got completely tackled from behind, and somehow how they didn't get a red card in that tackle was insane. He just took him out from behind, but LAFC survived. I'm happy they went on the road. This is what you're going to see in Liga MX games on the road, and FC Cincinnati, I think you're going to get a taste of that today, because there's quotes after the last game where they were telling Kevin Danke, you better watch out when you come to our home turf, we're going to be hitting you, knocking you down. So I'm going to be sitting there dear God. Yeah, I also think that factored in some of FC Cincinnati's selections on their defense, in my honest opinion, because I think there's guys like Teenage and Gilberto Flores that are not going to back down to some of these guys. They're
not going to fall over.
I love Nick Hagland. Nick Hagland's not really the feisty type, and I think that the selection for Flores and Teenage is these guys, they're going to fight back. So I'm a little scared of that matchup, but LAFC won the major one yesterday. On the Wednesday was Miami versus Nashville, and Nashville goes on the road, scores the road goal to be able to move on in this one, and they draw 1-1. But the away goals, I can't believe we still do this in CONCACAF, by the way, which is hilarious. Takes them through. Miami's in red alert fan base mode right now, because the whole point of building this roster this way was to compete in this competition. And we talked about it from the jump. This was Miami's competition to lose. They were by far the most talented team in this competition. Not even close. All respect to Nashville. We love Nashville. We've been promoting Nashville like crazy. Mm-hmm. Nashville, from a depth and talent-wise, is nowhere near Miami from what they're spending on the roster, building the roster. And they go in there, and this is why people are so high in Nashville. And in that attack, they didn't back down. They were physical. And the goal that Nashville scored was disgusting. A disgusting goal. It was kind of crossed. Amazing, Dane St. Clair just did the stupidest punch I've ever seen. 2 of his defenders. Yeah. Just tackled everybody, and then Espinoza just finishes it off, just no one in the net at that point. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of Miami right now. I think we're doing the thing we just keep saying, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. But now you're just out of a competition. That is just one of the things you expected to be in for the next month and a half, and now you're not. So I think they're going to probably look better in MLS play, which is unfortunate for the rest of the MLS.
They're about to pound teams. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are pointing to Bertarame right now and his lack of goals. He hasn't scored yet for this team, and it's been a brutal start to his tenure in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, the existential question for Miami right now is the season a failure? That's what and those are not my words. Those are I've seen Miami fans, several of which said yes. By the way, they said the season is a failure because, like what you opened up, like
it's the round of
that
16.
Was, yeah, well this was the whole point. This was what they were going after. They've already won Leagues Cup. They've already won the Supporter Shield. They've already won MLS Cup.
It's why you got Bertarame. The dude is from League MX.
Yeah, yeah.
They never even got to play League MX team. They lost the MLS team.
It's
crazy.
Diabolical. It's diabolical. Hate watchers around the world are rejoicing right now. But that's the question. And I guess my poke back at that question is like, what's it matter? Because nothing right now is going to happen because of that. People are pointing at Mascherano. People are pointing at Bertarame.
Tigre scored in the 5th minute, by the way. I just want to let you know.
I'll go ahead and go on the record right now too. When I was walking out of the stadium when we went up 3-0, I said we're losing in PKs. We needed a 4th if we wanted to win. I said that. I swear to God.
Sorry, listeners. You're going to hear me just fall apart during this episode. So we need to get through this.
We do. But that's like the only thing that's going to happen now is they're going to be pissed, and I feel bad for who they're playing in MLS this weekend because Nashville just poked the bee's nest, and now the Hornets are going to come flying. So that's definitely frustrating. That sucks a lot for them. But what are you going to do? You can't do anything right now. You fire Mascherano, sure. But that's like all you can do. Like what difference does that make?
I don't know. I think it's just you gotta accept it. I don't know. I think if it continues to go bad because MLS play hasn't looked great either, and this is what you were preparing for. So it will depend on how they look in the rest of the league now. So we'll make sure to keep an eye on that. Philly lost to Club America, pushed them to the limit. Credit to Philly for really pushing them on the road and had a shot in this one. So I feel for Philly. It's not been a great start to the year, and this does not help that case. Seattle takes care of business against Vancouver, and that was expected after they went up 3-0 in the first one. So they just had to survive at home, and they win 2-1 in that game. And then San Diego. Oh,
you said though they
got red card happy in this competition. I'll tell you that
they did. Yeah.
Toluca just destroyed them at home, 4-0. This was a bloodbath. We talked about the red cards were going to play a factor, so that didn't help. Tony, expected goals in this game, 4.4 to 0.4. I've never been sadder because I was like, they're going to go in there and be themselves. Nope. They were not anywhere close. 27 shots to 5 in this game. Yeah. Talk about folding. That was folding. And that stinks because I really wanted more MLS teams to move on, and that did not happen. So
I think that, I mean, I didn't read a ton into this, but I think that they just were not, like, obviously they weren't the better team, but they like possession and they try to keep it, but they just were not good enough to do that in this. Like Toluca was just way better dominating with the ball, breaking through San Diego's press, those kind of things. So it's not like San Diego stopped trying to do what they were going to do and park the bus. They just got beat at their game is really, what it came down to here.
Totally. Okay, well, all of MLS is hoping Cincinnati can survive this tonight. It's not off to a great start, so they're playing right now. Oh, gosh, I'm terrified. But let's get into predictions here. We're already 50 minutes in, so let's fly through this a little bit. Let's just get our score predictions, then we'll get Stin, get his predictions on the week, and we will wrap this one up. Lots of Sunday games this week, so be on the lookout for that. A lot of teams that are playing this competition are playing on Sunday. So I think there's 5 or 6 games on Sunday. Yeah, we got 2-1s, 2:30, all day Sunday. Interesting choice, by the way.
Sunday fun day. Yeah.
Interesting choice when you're competing with March Madness. I don't think many people are going to be watching these games. Might be one of the lower viewership weekends of the
Saturday,
year.
Sunday, what was it going to matter?
Week 5 of the MLS on top of
Yeah.
March Madness probably isn't great for the the viewership.
That's all right.
Toronto at home versus Columbus. Tony, I'm going Toronto in this one. I think that they're playing better. Columbus is in a rough spot, and I'm just going to take the team that I feel better about right now, and I think Josh Sargent gets his first start.
I think all of that is true and correct, and I mean Toronto's, I think, honestly, the better team at the moment. Crew better hope that Gomez kind of finds more of his feet in this game, but they have not looked good and have been kind of unimpressive, getting walked over by rotated teams. It just leads to Toronto at home, Homer League.
It's 2-0 right now, by the way, in the 10th minute.
2 now?
It's the update I just got. Yep. This guy's, I want this guy fired. Pat Newton needs to be fired on the spot. He shouldn't leave Mexico. Continuing here, Philly at home versus Chicago. Not overthinking it. I'm just going Chicago until Philly proves me wrong.
Yeah. Now I'm just mad. Chicago. Oh my god.
Oh gosh. Okay. Nashville at home versus Orlando. We don't need to talk about that one very much. I think this is one of the ass kickings of the week. I think Nashville takes care of business.
Nashville 3-0.
Atlanta at home versus DC United.
This one's tasty.
It's an interesting one because Atlanta's coming off a good win at home, and DC's coming off a good week as well. I'm going to go draw on this one. I think these teams, I think Atlanta can do enough at home to go against this DC team, and I'm calling my shot again. He's scoring 2 weeks in a row.
Whoa. Do you think he's going to play worth his value this year? I mean, if scoring 2 weeks in a row, what's next? I think, I don't
just scored 10 goals. That's
yeah, you're really hyping him up. I think DC United's going to win this one. I think that last week Atlanta wasn't good. Philly was bad. I'm going to go DC United on the road.
Okay. Charlotte at home versus Red Bulls. One of my favorite games of the week, honestly. I think this is going to be a super entertaining game. I'm going to go draw on this one, too. I think Red Bull can do enough offensively. I think Charlotte hasn't looked the best offensively. And I think this can be more so. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's either 0-0 or 1-1, but I'm going to go draw.
I'm going to take Charlotte only because I think that if there's any defense that they could probably break down, it'd be Red Bulls. Just use their outside backs a lot, and then you look and you say, okay, well, it's Zaha and Pep Biel or Leo Abada that's going to be exploiting those kind of spaces. Zaha obviously has not been great, but the one moment we have seen him be really good in the season so far was dishing it to Toklamati with a nice service. I think that's repeatable. So I think that's how they break through here, and I'll give Charlotte the edge.
Dallas at home versus the Houston Dynamo. I think it's going to be another great game. These two teams I do actually feel really good about right now, and I'm going upset, Tony. I'm going Houston on the road.
Wow.
In this one. I love Houston. I love this team. I think the story of them in RSL this season is going to be really fun. I think there's a lot of Western Conference teams that have been a little down as of late that I think are going to be better this year. So I'm going to go Houston. I think Dallas also falls in that category, by the way. But Houston, I think they get it done on the road against Dallas.
I think Dallas has got this one. I'm gonna go for them. I think their defense, although they have not been keeping off, the most goals off the score sheet, I do think that there's something to rate. And I think that, Houston obviously is an offense to rate as well. So I think we get goals in general, but I just think that ultimately, like, FC Dallas's defense is going to hold a little bit firmer. And I could see like a 3-2 kind of score here for Dallas. The Moose is loose.
Got to do it. That's
it. Come on.
SKC against Colorado. Interesting game. I think this is... Man, I'm a road truth this week, Tony. I'm going Colorado on the road against SKC. I think they're going to do it. I think Matt Wells going to get the boys bouncing back this week after that rough game last week. And I think they win this one 2-1 with your classic Jovic goal.
What if I told you that over like the last year, Colorado has been the worst road team in the league?
What if I told you Matt Wells hasn't been here for most of that?
What? Maybe I just think Colorado is altitude merchants.
No, yappy goals incoming.
Rapids are altitude merchants. They get people when they're tired at home, and then they can't do it on the road. So I think Sporting Kansas City is ending up going to win this.
Okay. I like that we're against each other this one. Yeah. St. Louis at home versus New England. This game sucks.
What are you talking about?
No offense. I'm just mad at New England for kicking our ass last week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go New England on the road. I'm going crazy this week. My predictions, by the way. This is stupid. But I'm doing it. I'm seeing the 6 goals last week, and I'm just like, oh, they must be good. No, I'm changing. Draw.
Oh, that's what I was gonna do.
It makes more sense. Both teams will get a goal.
Yeah, I think that I think it's a draw. Honestly, this has got 0-0 all over it, in my opinion.
Okay, Austin at home versus LAFC. I mean, I've got to go road truth in this one because it's LAFC, baby. I'm not picking against them. So I think I think it's a close game though. I think they haven't looked great, but I still think they're gonna be able to get it done. And I'm gonna go LAFC 2-1 on the road.
I'm gonna take Austin. I'm really sticking with the homers here. But I mean, this is LAFC fresh off a trip to Costa Rica, now flying to Austin.
They got a tan.
All the rotation, I think we'll see more here. Just a lot of games for LAFC, not so many for Austin, and it takes a toll. So going Austin.
My favorite matchup of the week: Vancouver at home versus San Jose. One I'm really interested in. I'm on the San Jose train. I've been upfront about that. But I'm going to go with my first love here, Tony. And I was on the Vancouver train first. We were there first. That was our first love last year, and I can't pick away from my first love. They're going to take care of business at home because they've just been throttling everybody in MLS play. They don't have any more CONCACAF to worry about. This team's going MLS all the way, and I think they're just going to keep throttling teams. I think they're probably going to win this one by a decent margin, honestly.
I hope Admin's listening. We need to get PJ a Preston Judd jersey here because he's going to be a San Jose guy.
Give me a Berhalter jersey.
Oh, wow. Okay. Never mind. San Jose hates you.
No. I love San Jose, but
today.
My first love, Tony. You can never like.
Well, I'm going Vancouver too, just because.
Okay.
they've just shown that it doesn't like I don't know. They're just gonna get beat by Seattle, and they just didn't care and put 6 up on Minnesota. I think that they're pretty. I think their system and how they are jiving with their coach definitely seems like a lot of people can plug and play there and be effective. San Jose, I think there's gaps in the back that I think Vancouver's really going to be able to exploit.
Sunday games now. FC Cincinnati at home versus Montreal. There may be some brown paper bags in this one now. We may have fans booing Pat Noonan in the pregame. I'm really not going to be shocked if we lose this game against Tigres the way that it's going right now. That I could actually see that. They need to bounce back in the most desperate way possible. I think you're going to see that in the way the roster is going to look, especially if they lose this game against Tigres. This is Dado Valenzuela's out for this game and next week's game. He got an extra game added on by the committee, by the way. So
I saw it.
It's tragic. But I'm going to go FC Cincinnati at home. I think they're just desperate dog. They need a win, and I think they get one. I don't think it's going to be pretty, though. I think it's still not going to look great, and I think it's going to be a close game.
This has got trap written all over it, honestly. I'm going to pick Montreal here on the road. They love playing spoiler.
How can you back this coach if you make that prediction?
What's that?
How can you back this coach if you make that prediction?
Who said I backed this coach?
You.
I'm Noonan agnostic.
You can't even be agnostic if you're picking them to lose at home versus Montreal. That's Noonan hate.
So then if I pick a draw, then that's okay. I'm agnostic.
Yes.
I don't think that's how that works, but
it does in my mind.
I mean,
you can't lose Montreal at home.
You can support a coach and expect not to win every game. That works too.
We're not winning any games.
Okay. We're winning some.
And you have to beat Montreal at home.
I mean, are they better this year? I don't know.
For the audio listeners, I just fell to my desk. I just dropped.
Yeah. No, here's the thing: it's a CONCACAF thing. It's the Montreal will press you and play high energy on you thing. And from what I understand from the 5 minutes that I've looked at Twitter while we've been on here, is that we've just had bad giveaways that have led to those goals against Tigres. So I don't think that we're going to win this one. I don't think we've had adequate time to prepare for it. I just think that it's chips are stacked against us here. So
it's going to be 80 degrees, though. At least we'll have a good time in the nice weather.
Well, Montreal might melt. So maybe that's
It's the only hope. They play on ice. NYCFC at home versus Inter Miami. I know your same reasoning. It's like they're coming off a midweek game. I think this is Miami pissed off. It's Miami. They're better than FC Cincinnati in every way possible with their depth too. So I think they win this one. I actually don't think it's a blowout. I think it's really close. I'm not gonna be shocked if NYCFC gets a result here. Honestly, they've looked that good. We talked about them. They're high up in my rankings for the power rankings, but I do think Miami wins this one 2-1.
Berterame hat trick.
Whoa!
Twitter goes into a frenzy.
Honestly, that happened. I would delete. Twitter. Also, for the March Madness followers, VCU just came back and beat North Carolina in overtime.
Oh my!
I predicted that on my.
I think I had them too. I can't remember.
I just didn't like that their best player, Carolina's best players, out, so that doesn't help. Moving on here though, Minnesota at home versus Seattle. I'm going Seattle on the road, 1-0. Don't overthink it. Road truth there.
Draw.
Okay.
I mean, Minnesota's sort of like. Think about the playoffs here for a second. The last matchups between these two.
Yeah, true.
Minnesota took them to penalties every time, I think.
They also lost half their team since then.
Fair enough. And coach
and James Rodriguez doesn't play.
But
he just doesn't play.
But it's the aura of both of these teams that leads it to it. So that's some high quality analysis there.
Yeah. Portland at home versus LA Galaxy. I'm going Portland. I don't like it, but I'm going Portland at home.
I think. I mean, is Peck back?
Yes.
Yeah, but Paintsill's still hurt.
Mm-hmm. And Pooch, if you didn't know.
Oh yeah. I thought he was week to week. Yeah. I'm going Portland too. CONCACAF with Galaxy. Maybe they'll play Glesnes this time. Who knows? But I don't know. They didn't do that for the last MLS game, so don't trust it.
Another great matchup, by the way, in this last game. We've got San Diego against RSL. RSL has become the sweethearts of MLS in the public eye, in my opinion. You see a lot of people liking the way they're looking early on. San Diego coming off that midweek thrashing on the road. I'm gonna go draw. I think that game can really affect San Diego. They haven't looked as great the past couple games. And I think RSL is kind of flying high a little bit. So I think this one will be really close. And I think this is going to be an just two offensive teams going at it here in this one. So I think you're going to see a 2-2 or 1-1. But I think it's going to be a really close game. But I'm going to pick draw.
I think I'm going for the win on the road for my boys. I'm going to take RSL here. For a lot of those same reasons, it feels like they're leveled out and you call it a draw. I just think that, a rotated version of them allowed 3 goals and scored 3 goals against FC Dallas a week ago. That game was on roids. This RSL game will probably be on roids. It'll be a really fun one to watch, but I just think that I mean, chaos could probably favor RSL in a lot of ways, just with the energy and just franticness that they tend to play with. So I'm going to take RSL.
Okay. Well, let's still get into our boy Stin. He's got our predictions for us. Let's take a quick break here and see what he's got.
We start in Philly with the Jack Elliott off. Triple G squad walks into town and takes some points on the road in the ugliest way possible. Philly won, Chicago won. This used to be one of the crown jewels of goalkeeper duels, but oh, how the mighty have fallen. MLS or not, Zaha can buy your house and a win here. Charlotte 2, Red Bulls 1. Shout out to the 11,000 fans that show up week in and week out at Toyota Stadium. A wild moose is on the loose for the Copa Tejas, and Don Garber is reporting lots of goals. FC Dallas 2, Houston 2. Vancouver is looking to stand tall against the Davids of the MLS. Give me the Goliaths to take down David. Only one underdog in that county prevails. Broncos country, let's ride. Vancouver 2, San Jose 1. Let's finish with Sunday Night Soccer, where Lindsay Heap's husband is running a great organization. Will it be enough to cool down the Mountain Kids led by USMNT stub Diego Luna? San Diego FC 3, RSL 2.
Thank you, as always, Stin, for the entertaining picks of the week. Some of my favorite liners in there, of course, is the Zaha buy your house quote. Lindsay Heap's husband mentioned in that one. 10 out of 10. Any picks that you're shocked by, Tony? I think I was a little different from him on a couple of these.
I kind of like his draw shout for Philly Chicago. I think that's a good one. Dallas Houston, I think, is an interesting draw. I can buy that as well. I think he's played a little safe, a little chalky here, but nothing's wrong with that. We got to get some validity for Stin's picks. So I think he called one or two last week pretty nicely as well. We need to check back on that, but I think he kept it. I think he kept it between the lines this time.
I agree. I like it. Well, with that being said, that's going to do it for our Week 5 preview here for the MLS. I can't believe we're already in Week 5, honestly.
It's crazy.
We're cruising along. And go USA. Next week is going to be a lot of USA talk. We're going to be going through the roster more. We're going to talk about the matchups that we have going on here this week. And then CONCACAF, let's all say a quick prayer for FC Cincinnati and the downfall that's about to occur in the Pat Noonan outtakes that are about to happen after this game. So with that being said, we will see you guys on Tuesday to recap everything that happens in the MLS, everything that happened in terms of USA news that goes on over the weekend as well. So we will see you guys on Tuesday.
See you.